Can you introduce yourself and tell me about a favorite vacation?
Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm going to tell you about my vacation when we went to Washington, DC.
That's an interesting place to visit. Tell me about your trip.
About 2 years ago, my brother, my mom, and I flew to Washington, DC. We visited my aunt and my uncle and my 2 cousins. When we got to Washington, D.C., it was really warm. It was kind of like the West. I mean, sometimes it was cold and sometimes it was warm. One night, when we were in Washington, D.C., it snowed, and I was really surprised. It was the first time I had seen snow in the East. And then we went to go visit there. Before, I can't remember what happened, but something happened. But we went to Gallaudet. It was nice. It was beautiful to go there, and I want to go there someday.
How did you pick that place to go on vacation?
The reason we went to Washington, D.C., because my mom had a conference, and so she took my brother and I, and we got to take advantage to go and see the sights in Washington, D.C. Her conference was in a fancy hotel, so we got to stay in the hotel all day. It was pretty fun.
What did you see while you were in Washington, D.C.?
We went to some famous museums. We went to the Smithsonian, the Air and Space Museum. I thought it was pretty interesting, but it was really strange. I started feeling really dizzy, so we left the museum and we decided to go back home to the hotel, and it started just getting worse, and we decided to go finally and see a doctor, and the doctor just said I was fine. If it gets worse, come back and see me again. So we went back home. I couldn't sleep that night. All night I was just tossing and turning because I felt kind of itchy. My whole body felt itchy. So the next day we went back to that doctor, and he looked at me again. He said that I had scarlet fever, and he said I needed to eat a lot of sweets like chocolates and candies.
So, did that make you feel better?
So I got a lot of candy, and I ate all of that, but it really didn't make me feel any better. It actually made me feel a little bit worse. So that night of the same day, I kept getting feeling worse, and so we went to the hospital. When we were leaving the house, I walked out front, and I was so dizzy, I couldn't even see straight. I couldn't figure out where the car was. And so the car was right past me, right in front of my face. It was like right in front of me. And my mom, she screamed at me, but I couldn't hear because I'm deaf. So we went back to the hospital. When we got there, as soon as the door opened, I threw up all over the place. And so they took me into the hospital, and the doctor checked me out, and they finally decided that I was truly sick. It was pretty bad. So instead of going home, we stayed in the hotel for 2 more days. And all day I just sat and watched TV, and my brother and my mom slept. My brother and I watched TV, and my mom slept all day.
That's too bad that you were sick on your vacation.
I mean, we decided it was really bad because we wanted to go to the White House, and we were going to go on a tour, and we kept getting denied, and finally we got the okay to go to the White House, and that was the same day that I got sick, so we couldn't go.
Did you get to do anything fun while you were there?
When I was in DC, I met my mom's friend, Ruth, and her two kids. They're about my same age. One is a little bit younger than me, and one was about the same age as my brother. My mom grew up with her, and they were best friends, and when they were about my age. And so it was really nice. They got to see each other after a long time, and so we had fun with them.
Did you see any other museums or do much sightseeing while you were there?
When we were visiting the different museums, we went to one called the Holocaust Museum. It was really sad to go in there. They talked about one girl and how she lived through the concentration camps and how she survived through the Holocaust. When we finished with that museum, we went to the Washington DC monument. It was super windy that day, so we weren't able to go inside of it because of the bad wind. And so I really wanted to go inside of it, but we couldn't. Another museum that we visited, the monument that we visited was the Abraham Lincoln Monument. It's a statue that it's really cool. It has the letters A and L on his hands. I had never seen that before, so it was really cool to experience seeing that.
After your bad experience being sick, do you think you'd like to go back to Washington, D.C.?
Luckily, last July, I got the opportunity to go back to Washington, D.C. It was back to Gallaudet for a girls' basketball camp. I finally got to see what Washington, D.C. really looks like, because last time I went, I was sick and I didn't really get to experience it all that much.
Did you see anything different the second time you were there?
I finally got to go see more of the Gallaudet campus, and I was able to see deaf kids from the area back east.
Tell me more about your experience at Gallaudet.
I met some kids from Virginia, Maryland, New York. There was a few from New York. And I got the opportunity to stay in Gallaudet for a week and in their dorms. It's really cool there. In the future, I want to go to Gallaudet. I want to stay in that kind of dorms.
Tell me about the camp you went to.
The camp that I went to was for basketball. It was super fun. It was to help me with my basketball skills. There was a basketball player from Sweden. She was a woman. She came to coach and teach us and to improve our skills.
Cool. Was she deaf?
Yeah, she was deaf.
Did you win any games or get any trophies?
I won one prize. That was it.
Do you think you'd like to go back again someday?
Yeah, sure, I want to go back one day. For any reason, I would love to go back.
Thanks for spending time with me today.